we are given 8 minus I, all divided by 3 minus 2I. We are told to express it in the form of a plus bi, where I is equal to the square root of minus 1. Then we are told to evaluate what the value of a would be. Normally, the value of I is irrelevant in the solutions of most questions, but this time, the value of I as square root of minus 1 is relevant in the solution because it makes the answer more concise and simplified. I would like to introduce two topics before we solve this question: rationalization, and you cannot learn rationalization without the other topic, conjugate. These two topics will be introduced in the next clip before we continue solving. I'll first of all introduce conjugates because this is the basics of rationalization. And the conjugate of a sword, square root of 2, would be itself. This is because the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 would equal to 2. The other conjugate of square root of 2, such as the square root of 8, this would equal to 4. But the idea of conjugate is to find the simplest way, the simplest number, which would be itself the square root of 2. But to make this example more understandable, let's make the number more complex. 1 plus the square root of 2. The conjugate of 1 plus square root of 2 won't just be any random number. It will be 1 minus the square root of 2. You notice how the sign changed. This is because a plus b times a minus b would always be a square minus b square. So 1 plus square root of 2, when multiplied by its conjugate, would be 1 square minus the square root of 2 all squared, which would be 1 minus the square root of 2 all raised power of 2 would be 2, which would equal to minus 1. 1 minus 2 is equal to minus 1. You notice how 1 plus the square root of 2 has been brought down to a normal number, minus 1, and how the square root of 2 was brought down to 2. That's the idea of conjugate. Now, when conjugate is applied to rationalization, this now we are making denominator a sword. It could be a combination of a sword and a number, or the combination of two swords, such as either square root of 2 or 1 plus square root of 2, or it could even be the square root of 3 plus the square root of 2. Now, if it is just a sword, basic sword, like the square root of 2, we would multiply the numerator and denominator by the square root of 2. Such as 2 divided by the square root of 2, this is cos 45 and sin 45. We multiply by the square root of 2, which is the conjugate of square root of 2, divided by the square root of 2, which is still the conjugate of square root of 2. 2 times the square root of 2 will be 2 root 2, divided by the square root of 2 times square root of 2, which will be 2. 2 will cancel 2, this will equal to the square root of 2. You've noticed how 2 divided by root 2 was brought down to root 2. Now we move on. Let's take another number, maybe 2 divided by 1 plus root 2. To bring this down, we multiply by 1 minus root 2, divided by 1 minus root 2. 2 times 1 minus root 2 would equal to 2 minus 2 root 2, divided by 1 times 1, 1, root 2 times minus root 2 would be minus 2, because roots will cancel square. This would equal to 2 minus 2 root 2 divided by minus 1, which would be 2 root 2 minus 2. For the final one, let's say 2 divided by root 3 plus root 2. You multiply the numerator and denominator by root 3 minus root 2. 2 times root 3 minus root 2 will be 2 root 3 minus 2 root 2. All divided by root 3 times root 3 would be 3, plus root 2 times minus root 2 will be minus 2. This would be equal to 2 root 3 minus 2 root 2 divided by 1. Your final solution will be 2 root 3 minus 2 root 2. This is how conjugate and rationalization apply. This is how they are used, and let's use them. Now that I understand what conjugate is, let's solve this question. So the denominator is 3 minus 2i, and the conjugate of 3 minus 2i is 3 plus 2i. So we multiply the numerator and the denominator by 3 plus 2i. I will multiply 8 times 3, that's 24. 8 times 2i, that's plus 16i, minus 1 times 3, that's minus 3i, and minus I times 2i, that's minus 2i squared, all divided by 3 times 3, that's 9, minus 2i times plus 2i, that's minus 4i squared. Now, we know that I is equal to the square root of minus 1. That means I squared is equal to the square root of minus 1 all squared. Square root cancel square. I squared is equal to minus 1. Please do not take I squared as 1. I squared is equal to minus 1. Because some people will think that since I squared would equal to the square root of minus 1, then minus 1 will be squared. No. The square is covering the square root. So the square root will cancel the square, leaving you with minus 1. Now, since we know that I squared is equal to minus 1, and don't forget 8 minus I divided by 3 minus 2i is equal to this, we then put I squared as minus 1. That will be 24 plus 16i minus 3i, that is plus 13i, minus 2i squared, that will be minus 2 times I squared, that's minus 1, all divided by 9 minus 4 brackets I squared is minus 1, so that will be minus 1. 24 plus 13i minus 2 times minus 1, that will be plus 2. 24 plus 13i plus 2 divided by minus 4 times minus 1, that's plus 4, 9 plus 4. 24 plus 2, that's 26 plus 13i, 9 plus 4, that's 13. 26 divided by 13, that's 2, plus 13i divided by 13, that's I. That means 8 minus I, all divided by 3 minus 2i, is simply just 2 plus I. And when we put it, that means in the form a plus bi, a is equal to 2 and b is equal to 1. Now we found out that a is equal to 2. Option A. Stay excited.